This is Deborah Johnson for Women at Halftime, and I'm passionate about helping women use their untapped skills, resources, and talents to create their ideal work and lifestyle, making a difference in their second half. Well, hello, this is Deborah Johnson with you again today with a fun subject, the importance of perspective in life and business. And I have some good little stories on this that will really help us as we are now kind of full on into 2021. As this episode airs, this show airs, Learn Music Again is now available as well for those who used to play and want to play again. And if this is you, at least get the free downloads. There's free sheet music, a free mini course that you can access. You can access all of that immediately. There's also a 5-day challenge to get you going. I just thought this would be really fun to start off the year. And you can find that, any sort of replay on that on my Facebook site, Deborah.Johnson. So you can find it on that page. If you join on that page, you'll see all of that there and can immediately access it along with a free download. LearnMusicAgain.com also for more information. So here we go. Perspective in life. We will start with that. First, your perspective in life, it will really affect your perspective in business, as they're both connected in so many ways. I have said this, preached this for many years now, and the definition of perspective is view or outlook. And your overall mindset directly influences the view of your life and your business. And I talk a lot about mindset as well, and that's never been more important as right now. Your overall mindset directly influences your view of your life and your business, and it also works the other way around. Your view of your life and business can positively or can negatively affect your mindset. So when things are not going so well, it's tough to keep a positive mindset. And I have told many that one of my yearly resolutions, not just a resolution, but a new habit, is not to even check my phone or any sort of news early in the morning. I'm an early riser, very early riser. I get up and I usually have a little devotional time, and I have, I journal and I exercise. And if I'm too distracted, it really disturbs that time. My mind just goes a million miles an hour. So, deciding how I want to meet my day is very, very important, and it can have either a positive or a negative effect. And so I understand that principle. It's not always easy for me to do because I'm curious. So, now let's talk about buildings as well. If you look at the footprint of a building plan from the ground, it might not seem to make much sense, but the logic of the plan, it becomes much clearer from an aerial point of view or elevated perspective. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. And the logic that you can gain from that elevated point of view applies to many other situations. And in the roundabout that I talk about quite a bit in the Hero Mountain Summit is the roundabout hero. And I like to coin the little phrase, see it through with an elevated point of view. And when you're in the middle of that roundabout, you can see a lot more from above. So if you take a step back to see the larger picture of life and relationships and business plans and even the future, it'll help you with your current decisions. And a huge trend now in real estate is to use drones. This has been out for a while, but they provide a unique perspective when it comes to presenting a property. And I am such a techie nerd. I'd love to be able to do some photography with those drones, but I can't get too sidetracked here. But in real estate, they do provide a unique perspective, and they're used in all types of listings, including residential, commercial, even vacant land and rentals. And And you've probably known some people just like I have that have purchased a property sight unseen merely from all of the excellent perspectives they get from photos and videos, not only of a ground view, but aerial. And this has been when we were first, Greg and I are first, purchasing our very first home, which we were like many young couples at our stage of life. I think many understand that you're just scrimping and saving as you're going along, and we were just trying to get in, but there was nothing like this at that point, and there wasn't even, this will really date me, no Zillow, no anything to be able to look up all of those photos. So we've really come a long way, and we want to be able to use a little bit of that technology also in our businesses and in our life. There are many coaches that pop up every day who claim they can take you from point A to point B. I mean, you can find coaches a dime a dozen right now. There's just so many, and you just go, okay, what kind of coach? Are you life coach? Are you business? What are you? Are you whatever? But before really embarking on any new program or offer, you want to take time to evaluate your personal core values and perspectives, really from multiple views. And here, we're going to outline, in this episode, we're going to outline some of the most important perspectives in life that can also directly influence your business. And I'm focusing on the majors here. I'm not going to go deep into all these perspectives, but if you focus on the majors, it will do you very, very well. They're big picture in scope, and they'll provide a solid framework and foundation. And if you've ever seen a home without a solid foundation, you understand all too well how it can look good on the outside but be caving in on the inside. I have actually had a friend buy a property. It was up in a mountain area. It did not have footers that went down into the ground. And after remodeling, he had a big surprise when that floor started caving in. Do not let that happen to you. Spend time on these foundational principles. They're big picture, but they're very important. So number one, we're going to spend time with, I've got 4 little areas here to spend time on, but they're just very major in scope, and it's a good reminder for all of us at this point in our life. Spend time in preparation. That is number one. And one of the things sayings I picked up from my father was, have your tools ready the night before. I've preached this quite a bit as well. But he wasn't only a captain of the fire department, but he built industrial buildings. And I never felt like he did not have time for me. He took me on the job sometimes. I got to ride the tractors and play with all the wood carvings and all of that sort of stuff that come out of sawing pieces of wood together. But if he was going to a job site the next day, he had his truck loaded the night before, as he didn't want workers waiting around. And so time was money, and he used it very, very wisely. And love my daddy, miss him so much. But it's a great principle that I've kept in planning ahead in any area. And sometimes we need to revise those principles. And I'm going to talk about some of the challenges as an entrepreneur in some upcoming episodes. We need to revise it a little bit, but at least spend enough time in preparation that you can be excited about what's coming next and you can hit the road running. There are many day planners and systems, and there's so many things out right now, but pick something simple enough that you can be consistent. I have taken on some of those programs, I have to admit, and I was spending so much time on the program and not doing what I was supposed to be doing, because I was trying to be spending time planning, and then I had an assistant doing the planning. And yeah, it just be very, very simple. So I'm old-fashioned, do keep a physical planner, but very visual as well. And I use technology. Believe me, I'm old-fashioned, but I use technology. You've got to be able to use technology. But what I use, my little system, helps me keep in mind the big picture of the tasks and projects. I get a lot of projects done, a lot. So, but it just keeps a big picture on those and keeps me focused. And I also have found this, and it's the surprise for some people that are so into tech, But I found some of my colleagues, not just at my stage of life, by the way, I am definitely at halftime of life, but I have found some also adding a system of pen and paper to enhance their digital system because they find that, I need to write this down. I'll remember it better. Yes, 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 you will. So the main point here is to find something that works for you. If a list works, create a daily list. If all you need is an app, then use that. But whatever you use, let your system help you hit a new day with a running start. Don't get bogged down with the system. And this perspective in life regarding spending time in preparation, it really has the potential to have a huge effect in all areas, including your mindset, because you feel good about the day. You feel good about what's ahead. And that's what happens when I start thinking about marketing for me, because I really like to market. My husband has told me, he said, somebody needs to hire you just for marketing. I said, no. I do like to spend other people's money, but no, I just love the creativity in that. And I've done it so many years on many of my projects, and it works. It's fun. So number 2, establish your personal daily priorities. Very important. So first of all, you are going to spend time in preparation. So you've got that time, you've set the time aside, but now you need to decide, what are those personal daily priorities? What do you do every day that keeps you centered? And from the voices that urge you to be the best version of yourself to positive psychologists, you can find a number of opinions on daily practices promoted almost incessantly. There are so many, methods out there. And with the recent year, most of us experienced quite a bit of upheaval and change. And so a good daily ritual is imperative. And I'm an introvert. Actually, I really enjoyed time by myself. It's like, ooh, okay, so we got to, hunker down. But I got restless, definitely, especially because my physical workout changed. The gyms were closed. It's like I couldn't go to my cycle class. I couldn't do, and that's really where some of my social time was early in the morning, and I was really missing it. So I had to establish some new habits and personal daily priorities, which I've done. And I will start adding some others back in as we're able to. But these daily priorities that include journaling, deep work, and positive intentional breaks aid a healthy mindset and really steady progress. And I'm going to talk about those. I just did a wonderful webinar on mindsets for the year, and it was a good reminder for me. I enjoy doing these webinars so much because they cause me to do a little bit more reflection. But these are a couple of things I mentioned there. The first routine of my day, it includes a time of spiritual reflection and writing a few thoughts in my journal. And just 15 to 20 minutes every morning, not even that sometimes, it keeps me centered with a positive perspective in life. And I like some sort of devotional guide or an outline to keep me on track. And I've shared before how I decided to get my trusty Bible that I've had for years, so many years. I don't even know how many years, but it was completely falling apart, as they do after a certain number of years. And I thought about getting a new one, asking for one for my husband for Christmas. And he said, why don't you have it rebound? He said, all of your notes are in there. You've got all of this, there's so much of your life that's in this. And I had never really thought about that. I thought, it was more expensive than buying a new Bible. It was more expensive. But I did it, and I just got it back, and I absolutely love it. It's like that was part of me. And so when you think about your reflection time, find something that is special to you. I know people that have been doing the artist way. I'm very familiar with that. I'm very familiar with some of the meditation. I've studied a lot of different things. This is what really works for me. I go back to the basic. And also a small time of journaling. I may do a whole separate episode, a video episode on journaling and doing a 90-day challenge because it's really, it keeps you very, very regular if you can do those short little spurts of just a couple sentences in most days. So anyway, that's really worked for me. And I number them. It's just kind of a fun game to number and see how many thousands really of entries. And just a little bit of, it helps keep your mind centered. And I had just shared how I'm not, checking the news updates first thing. I'm not always successful, but I am getting better. That negative, if there's any message, especially politically this last year, is really, crazy, and it's not all over as I record this, but a negative message really has an effect on my reflective time. So the news can wait. I need to get myself straight. And then next, I do a small amount of deep work in my office before exercising. Now, deep work is one, sometimes I can do some rote work. There's differences there. If you look up the article that goes with this, I have a link to that article I wrote about deep work. But if there's a pressing project, I can get either a little bit of a start on it or cross it off my list very early in the day. And it's usually only 25 to 30 minutes before I start my exercise routine. But this will jumpstart my workday. As I was working on a new keynote, I spent time doing rehearsal of a small section, and it helped me get in another rep, because the power is in the repetitions. I come from performing, and you get those reps in. And as I said, I'm an early bird, and I like to get my workout done early as well. So then I'm ready for my full day ahead. So after doing that little brief 25 to 30 minutes, and I'm ready the night before. I lay my clothes out the night before. I've got everything. I'm ready. And then I exercise. So I have a little area in our that I go in and exercise, do my little stationary bike and do some weights. And I find it is an absolute necessity in keeping a healthy perspective. And in fact, I'd like to go back into some of our gyms if they open up. But yet on another I've gotten used to this routine now. So we'll see how my mindset is getting out of this routine, because it's really worked for me. But there are many studies that document how, creating this routine and getting into that deep work and exercising and all of that is really an important part, really, of your mindset and your overall perspective. So number 1 was spend time in preparation. Number 2, establish your personal daily priorities. Now, number 3, I like this one a lot. Guard your time and your relationships. It's amazing that anyone can get anything done with social media, pings on phones, and instant push messages. And in fact, I find if I have my phone, even if I turn it off, it's still very distracting. So I have to turn it over. And turning off many of those messages, at least for certain periods of time, will really, really help you create a healthy perspective in life and in your business. But it does take discipline, and it takes focus. There's 2 books that I highly recommend by Cal Newport. One is Deep Work. Again, you can find this in the full article that I write. And the other is Digital Minimalism. Ooh, it's a hard word to say. Minimalism. I got it. But my favorite is Deep Work. I like that one quite a bit. But both are a worthwhile read. I think Digital Minimalism, it's good ideas in there, but it's a little unrealistic for some of us. But Deep Work, it's very good. Both of them, they're a worthy read. I love his writing. So good they can't ignore you. Everybody needs to read that book. It's a great book. So if you do guard your time carefully, your productivity and your personal satisfaction will also really increase. And as our skills increase, our confidence does as well. So it takes time, focus, and effort to grow our skills, but the compound effect of doing so pays off tremendously. And if you want to know anything about compound effect, I'll listen to some of the episodes. My husband's been on with me with finances. He's such a whiz. But we've talked about this for years with the compound effect, how it works with saving and money. You can find tons of reports online about that. But it's the same in a life and in a business. So it's well worth watching how you spend your time, and it's your most valuable resource. Relationships are another area to carefully maintain. And I find no place for those toxic relationships in my life. This might sound harsh, but those people are time and energy suckers. I mean, they just suck the life out of me. And I like working and hanging out with those who are self-motivated and who are not dwelling in a victim state of mind. Now, I understand some people are just going through hard times, but if you dwell there and if you don't really do the work to get out of that state, that's that victim state of mind. And they might be stuck and are, nobody's perfect. None of us are. But they have to be willing to do the work to get unstuck. And I have to as well. If I have too much self-focus, just focusing on the problems I'm going through or the issues I'm going through, I sink down into that. And so that's a really important point here with any sort of relationship, and how important it is to have that. It helps to have that others-centered, an attitude of thankfulness, an attitude of gratefulness, no matter what has happened, no matter what, and then just work to get out of it. And I also, as far as relationships, I put a high priority on my family. And at this point in my life, I do have adult kids. And staying in contact with them with calls, texts, and time out to visit and celebrate is a high priority of mine. And we just visited one of our sons, and we drove, actually, the 7 miles, or 7 hours, 7 miles. No, we have one that's a little closer than 7 hours away, but we have another one across the country. So we, Greg and I have resolved that we just really want to keep, relationship. And one of them is better than the others of just, calling consistently, but the others I try to contact, periodically. They're on tech. They like to text most of all, but of course, but I feel very fortunately to even have a relationship with my family. I understand many don't. So it's a perspective I highly honor and don't take for granted. And when you have, other people join, now you've got spouses and you've got a whole other element here. It takes some work, and to really be flexible and be listeners and just joyful and let the little things just go. So, okay, so we've spent time in preparation. That was number one. We've established our personal daily priorities. That was number two. And then guarding your time and relationships, very important. Your time is one of your most valuable resources, and very valuable. And then number four, I put this one in because I love this one. I've talked about this for a number of years. Major on the majors. And this principle is one that will help many in many, many areas of life. It's one I value so much. And I come back to it over and over and over again. And there's a movie, it's For the Love of the Game, if you've ever seen this, with Kevin Costner. Hopefully I've got the right movie. I think I do. Sometimes I've told the wrong movie, and my husband corrects me because he's the baseball player, and he's like, oh, no, we watched this. But this was about an aging star baseball pitcher, which my husband was a pitcher. He played pro ball with the Indians, but there's a scene where he blocks out the crowd completely, just focusing on his pitch. And when we watched this together, Greg and I, he said, this truly happens. This is what happens when you pitch. You block out the noise. It doesn't matter how big the crowd is. And that was really interesting to me because I have found some of that in entertaining, but I still love to hear the crowd, and I just couldn't be distracted by it. I had to keep going because I had, I've done major shows to where I've got a lot of material I've memorized on that stage, couple hours, and technical things that I'm handling as well, and forwarding video and coordinating all of that. So you just have to keep that concentration. But this is really where you major on the majors. And if you're on that stage, you have that focus, one focus. And in life as well as business, we have to block out the negative and the distracting noise just to focus on what's most important, majoring on the majors. And and some of the noise can be the voices in our head. I mean, how much we've heard from ourselves that's negative, like we're too old, we're too outdated, or we're not tech savvy enough. I've heard all of those, not only from others, but yes, from myself. I get in my own little pity party. So those voices are the mind games that will hold us back from really pitching our best project, our best game, or even living our best life. Be very careful about those voices. They will rear their ugly heads. That I will guarantee. But just, you know what to do with them. It's like, no, I'm not listening to you. Focus on the majors. And this principle I love so much because I've been able to use it. It's worked well for me in producing my original musical world premieres. And I had to tell the whole cast this when I had one of my casts. I call one of my musicals, I felt like I had a runaway cast, and the other I had runaway directors. I had to deal with different issues in both situations. And I was producing the musicals, and this was my baby. I was paying for it. I hired everybody. This was we had already had the theater booked. Everything was on its way in rehearsals. And in producing musicals with union rules, you only have 6 weeks to rehearse per those casts. So I had a cast they were just not getting along, and we had great actors, but things were happening. There were problems in the script. I had not written the script for this, so there just needed to be some changes. And my co-writer was really out of the country. There's a lot of things to coordinate. And I had to realize, okay, I need to major on the majors. And I started opening up every single rehearsal that we had with this phrase that we are focusing on the majors here. Major on the majors. I don't want you guys to get distracted. I will make the changes needed. And I did. And we had a very, very successful run. But it was that same issue of majoring on the majors. It got me through both musicals. The next musical was much larger in scope, and I had a lot of other things to deal with. And it was the same principle for me. The same principle applies in creating online courses. When I am doing those, and I have to realize, really good, I can put out something, I don't need to wait till it's perfect, because then I will never put it out. I've got to, done is better than just waiting for it to be perfect, because it may never get done. So you have to realize, what are the major issues here? You've got a good recording, good sound, good lighting, and you might have stumbled over a word or two. Let it go. And so when creating those online courses, and even as I was running a nonprofit for a year as president, that was another area in working with people, majoring on the majors. What's most important? Looking at the budget, looking at personnel, looking at what we needed in an assistant, and looking at all of those things, and making sure I had a team that was getting along, and that we were not bleeding money, which happened. We did a great job that year, but it was really the team moving together in majoring on the majors. So this will apply to most any area of your life, keeping a laser focus. And it's not always easy, I know, because I've just gone through the exact same thing. But by doing so, there's a much better chance for a successful outcome, to win, to complete projects, and to lead effectively. So just going through those 4 again, just real quick. Number 1, spend time in preparation. So it's worth it. Don't spend too much time, but spend it there. Number 2, establish your personal daily priorities. I cannot emphasize this strongly enough, especially with your spiritual reflection. You need a higher power. I tell you, it's very, very important. The longer I live life, the more I realize how important that is in a life. Number 3, guard your time and your relationships. It's up to you to do this. Nobody else is going to do that for you, even if you have a good assistant. You need to decide. Number 4, major on the majors. I hope that little story of the musical really made sense for you and brought a smile to your face. And it was not an easy time for me to get through some of those times, believe me. But as I look back, I see how much I've learned and I've grown, and I know you will as well. So next week, make sure that you're with us for a very exciting episode, kind of a surprise with an entrepreneur and with the risks and the work that it takes to really succeed as an entrepreneur. It does take work. So I hope you join me then, and that you take time to subscribe to this podcast if you have not yet. And I really appreciate you listening, even if you write reviews, just really appreciate that. You can reach me anytime at womenathalftime.com. You can get directly to our podcast page from there, womenathalftime.com. And love to hear from you. Just thank you so much for joining me. It's always, always a pleasure. I'm starting to add in one episode at this point per month, even doing a live video on it. So I hope you tune into those as well, because I just felt like I needed a little bit more personal interaction with all of you. So thank you so much again for joining me. This is Deborah Johnson, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us on Women at Halftime. Visit goalsforyourlife.com or womenathalftime.com for many more resources, downloads, and programs, or to get in touch with me. I'd love it if you leave me a review and tell your friends. So until next time, this is Deborah Johnson, signing off.